In this presentation, we look at plant respiration in a broad overview. Previously, we discussed photosynthesis, which is the process by which turfgrass plants capture the sun's radiant energy and convert it into a usable form, which we know as ATP. This energy is stored within compounds known as sugars, carbohydrates, and starches. The overall photosynthetic equation is shown here. Carbon dioxide plus water and radiant energy or light from the sun is converted by the plant into these sugars or starches and oxygen. If photosynthesis is a building process, respiration is a breaking down process. Respiration is the process by which sugars are converted to energy through an oxidative reaction. The overall process is shown here. Sugars are broken down, releasing energy that is then used for cell growth and building plant tissue. Respiration occurs in all cells. This table summarizes the differences between photosynthesis and respiration. Where photosynthesis captures light energy and converts it into a plant usable energy, respiration releases that energy. Photosynthesis uses water and carbon dioxide, respiration produces them. And while photosynthesis releases oxygen, respiration needs and uses oxygen. Cellular respiration is a fascinating and amazing series of reactions that seems rather messy at first glance, but some of you knew from biology classes that respiration is a complex series of reactions. For this class, we take a rather broad look at respiration. The major steps in respiration are listed here. In the first step of respiration, known as glycolysis, a 6-carbon sugar, glucose, undergoes a series of transformations resulting in 2 3-carbon molecules called pyruvate. In these reactions, ATP is made and NAD+ is converted to NADH. What is generated in glycolysis is 2 ATPs and 2 NADHs. Glycolysis is also known as anaerobic respiration because it does not require oxygen. Where this takes place is in the cell, is in the cytoplasm. Each pyruvate, prior to entering the citric cycle, converts to a 2-carbon molecule bound to coenzyme A, known as acetyl coenzyme A. Carbon dioxide is released and NADH is generated. Since we have 2 pyruvates, a total of 2 NADHs are produced. The 2-carbon compound, acetyl coenzyme A, combines with a 4-carbon compound producing citric acid that goes through a cycle of reactions known as the citric or Krebs cycle. These cyclic reactions occur in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Ultimately, what is produced is ATP, NADH, and FADH2. Now, if we look at the total ATP, NADH, and FADH2 produced, we count 3 NADHs, and since that is per 1 pyruvate, and we have 2, the total NADH is 6. We have 1 ATP per turn of the cycle, which is the cycle turns twice again because we have 2 pyruvates. And finally 1 FADH per turn, and since we again have 2 pyruvates, it turns twice and we have 2. Through the respiration transformations and citric cycle, we have produced so far a total of 4 ATPs, 10 NADHs, and 2 FADH2s. Given that we have only 4 ATPs and a bunch of NADHs and FADHs, why should we care about all the NADHs and FADHs? In the next step of respiration, oxidative phosphorylation, or the electron transport, those 10 NADHs will become 30 ATPs, and those 2 FADH2s will become 4 ATPs. If we look at NADH and its oxidation, NAD+ is produced along with 2 electrons. The release of these electrons can produce a lot of energy. Oxygen is the final acceptor for these electrons. Oxygen likes to be reduced, and thus with 2 electrons, 2 hydrogens, half an oxygen, we can produce water. Thus, if we went straight from NADH to oxygen, you would produce a lot of energy that couldn't basically not be captured. Oxidative phosphorylation is the step-by-step process of transferring those electrons from one acceptor to another. NADH and FADH2, made previously in other steps, deposit their electrons in the electron transport chain. As electrons move down the chain, energy is released and used to pump protons out of the matrix, forming a gradient. Protons flow back into the matrix through an enzyme called ATP synthase, making ATP. At the end of the electron transport chain, oxygen accepts electrons and takes up protons to form water. Through the respiration processes described, 38 ATPs are produced. In summary, this is a short presentation on respiration, and it was designed to give a broad overview. Obviously, more detailed information is presented in your biology classes. The second important aspect is the importance of oxygen as the final electron acceptor, and its importance in electron transport in generating the vast majority of ATP. We will see in the following presentation the impact of not having enough oxygen present in a root system under anaerobic conditions.